What's up, everybody? It's the Goal60 here, joined by Cody from the Square Chair. We're going to get into the third part of our college football preseason breakdown. We're going to go over the Big 12, and then we're going to go over the overall, what we expect in the Final Four. And we're also going to finish it up with something really cool, a bold prediction out of us, just to kind of give us something interesting for the season to think about. So with that said, let's jump into the Big 12. Cody, who you got?
I got Oklahoma. I know a lot of people are probably going to go with Texas. But I think Lincoln Riley is the quarterback whisperer, and if Jalen can do what he did against a lot of SEC defenses, there's no telling how many yards he can run against Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor, West Virginia, Oklahoma State.
I've got Oklahoma too, man. Lincoln Riley's got it going out there. I'm not big on Texas, like you mentioned. I was last year, and they burnt me. This year,
Maryland.
I was actually, right out of the gate. Maryland 2 years in a row. Let's just, lay an egg, don't do anything. They had a heck of a hangover from the summer or something. But I've got Oklahoma.
Weird, baby.
That's right. Oklahoma rushing for 215 yards a game. Of course, that includes Jalen doing his thing. That helps out your running game. 245 yards passing. Only giving up around 120 yards rushing and 215 yards passing, which is a very big jump for this brand new defensive coordinator, doing his thing, first full year. And I really think that defense is going to take a lot of stride. I think they focused on a little more. I think that they had to. I think this is one of those things they've went long enough with thinking, we'll just try to outscore people. And I hope that they really focused on the defense. So, as far as win totals for the Big 12, I've got 3. Let's see what you think about these. I've got West Virginia being over 5. I think 6-6 is a number for West Virginia. Maybe 7-5. It would be a stretch, but I think there is value at the minus 120 mark, over 5. And let's face it, they don't make a bowl game. They go 5-7. You push. You get that money back. So, a little bit, that whole number, I really like those when it comes to those team totals. And I just feel like you get more value there.
Yeah, I think I got West Virginia going under just a tad with the new coach. I know they've had a ton of people transfer, a ton of people quit. I know Neil Brown's a good coach, but I'm not sure if he can make it this first year, maybe next year. But by year 3, he better get something, or they're going to burn every couch, including his. So.
Yeah, they're not going to have anywhere to sit in a few years. My next one I've got is Texas. I've actually got them going under 9.5. I think that number is way too big. And it's very expensive. It's minus 170 to the under, but I just 9.5, man. If they can squeak out 3 losses, you're golden. You've got your win. You're under 9.5, and you're good to go.
So what's their road games? I know they play LSU at home, which I think is a loss.
Yeah,
I think they obviously lose to Oklahoma, or I would have picked Texas in that. What are their road games?
Their road games are actually not terrible. It's at West Virginia. It's at TCU, which I do think TCU is going to bounce back this year.
Yeah.
At Iowa State, that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
And then at Baylor. And I honestly am under the impression that Baylor's going to be a little bit better this year. I think they're going. They really made a stride last year. I said they go 6-6. I felt like they definitely hit that on the head, and I feel like they're going to be a little bit better this year. How much better, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 wins. If they could really do well, it'd be 8 wins, but they're going to be better than what they have. 2 years ago, they went 1-11.
Right.
So for sure.
I've got Baylor finishing 6th in the conference. So
okay.
That's probably 7-5.
Yeah, I've got them finishing 5th at 7-5. So, we're out there at it. And then last, I think that Kansas State made a heck of a hire, but I think this year it's going to be tough on them. I've got them going under 5.5, minus 160 on Kansas State.
Yeah, I've got them going 5-7. I've got them beating West Virginia and Kansas in the conference. So I got them 8. So
I've actually got them at 4-8. So they're would be under the 5.5 by a game and a half. I think that gives me a little bit of buffer. If they do win the 5th game, I'm still under. I'm still got that value there. I'm still looking at that. So that's kind of how I do my totals. I set a number, go through and project everything, the stats for every game throughout. I set my number for each team, and if I've got a little bit of buffer like that, if I've got a game and a half or more, I feel like I've got a little bit of value there. And even if I miss it, and let's say they do a game better or a game worse, I'm still, I'm where I need to be. So that's everything I've got for the Big 12. Let's jump into the Final Four projections. What do you got there?
Okay, I've got Michigan as a 3 seed, playing Alabama as a 2 seed. And then I've got Oklahoma as a 4 seed, playing Clemson. And then I've got Bama over Clemson in New Orleans.
Man, I'm right there with you. I do think there's going to be an upset this year. I think Oklahoma beats Clemson. I think Clemson gets a little bit of a big head this year.
Oh, my God.
Obviously, I know. Obviously, and we talked about it with the Big 12. The big trash. I like that. I'm going to use that one. But Oklahoma, with a little bit better defense, I think plays a little bit better. 2 years in a row, they have got to the playoffs and couldn't get past it because of their defense. I think this year they give a lot more focus to it. They start taking a little bit more, adding a few more skill positions to that side instead of keeping them all on offense and really hunkering down. I think they get somebody this year. I think they make it to the championship. I got the same 4 teams. Utah was the one I went back and forth on, and honestly, if we were in the playoff that should be in 8 teams where you get all 5 Power 5 champions, Utah would be in. But I think that they lose a game this year, maybe just simply like we talked about in that video, in the very first video about them, not being able to stay up with the hype and losing at least one before they really get under control and use that talent to go through. And with that, I think that keeps them out of the playoffs.
Yep. Like I said earlier, they have to go 12-0, and even then, if these 4 teams go 12-0 in our playoff, Utah's still getting left out at 13-0, and everybody else is undefeated too. I mean, Michigan, Bama, Oklahoma, all blue bloods, and Clemson's at the top right now. So Utah's not getting in over any of those 4 if the records are the same. So.
Yep, you're exactly right. And for our entire life, I have begged for a playoff. We finally got it. I think we're just one step away. I think 8 teams is where it needs to be, simply because you get your 5, and let's say you get one, UCF, Boise State, one of those schools in, and then 2 at-large bids where you get like a Notre Dame or Georgia in the last couple of years. Last year where they got left out, and everybody felt like they should be in there. You get those teams that are really on the edge but need it. And I know everybody keeps saying, well, if we go to 8, people are, the 9th and 10th team. Well, not true. When you look at that, by the time you get to those in the ranking, look at those. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at least 2 losses in those teams. You're not worried about those teams. But
you can't tell me that 2017 Auburn in the top 8 team in the country shouldn't go. I mean, they beat
You're exactly right.
Georgia. The only reason that they weren't in the playoffs is because the SEC championship and all the other championships are made for money TV games.
That's exactly right.
I mean, I think if, back in the old days, I think Auburn would have, been in the playoffs. Or they should be in the playoffs. But, like, what I've always thought, we just get on a tangent, is if they're worried about that extra game, extra hits to the head, all of that thing, then make it be 6 teams and let 1 and 2 get buys. And then let 1 and 2 get buys, and then it doesn't matter. So if you're the best teams, you get that bye. If you're 5 and 6, you got a shot, but you got to get hit in the head a lot more.
Yeah, unfortunately. And this is going to sound barbaric, I know, but if you or I would have had a chance to play college football, we would have. If we would have been at the level to go and play and sustain that type of athleticism, we would have been playing. But you got guys coming in, if they're getting hit in the head and things, I'm sorry, but don't strap it on. Don't go. Don't play.
Nobody's sitting there saying, if you don't play, I'm going to cut your leg off.
Exactly. I mean, there's 100
hey,
forever.
Brown, he's got to have that helmet.
Don't get me started on pro football. I can't do pro. As much as I love pro baseball, when it comes time to like when they talk about contracts and all that stuff, I just tune it out. I can't stand it because I can't deal with, I don't know.
Why
You
to
can
only
call it
get 19 million and not 21?
yeah, and then and I just signed this big contract. That means I can take off next year. I can do what I want. I can just go out there.
I hope Le'Veon Bell fumbles every football.
I mean, exactly. And now you've got your favorite team. You got Zeke coming out with 2 years left on his contract, demanding a new contract.
Dak
I mean,
for 40, and I wouldn't give Dak 12 million.
I give him about 3 cowbells and tell him to go back to Starkville myself. But whatever it's our to, if you can get the money, you can get the money. If not, don't worry about it. But I got to hear what your bold prediction is for this season.
Okay, we all know that I'm the biggest Bammer or biggest jump, biggest homer of all time. Yeah. But I'm going to say, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to say Gus is gone during that bye week.
I got you. I got you. I took in the first video. I told you I thought they'd go under 7.5, and I really feel like
he can't make it there. I mean, you won't make it at 7.5.
You're exactly right. My bold prediction is nationwide. Actually, but it does kind of tie back to Bama. I just realized it. But Tua and Jalen both go to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. So the new Oklahoma sends a quarterback 3 years in a row. I don't think he wins it this year, though. I think they break that streak. I think the other guy who goes is Justin Herbert. I think that he is going to be solid. And if you haven't heard that story about him telling his parents he was going to college to play football, you need to look that up. It's crazy. We're talking about a kid maybe going to see, set for a Heisman Trophy, and his parents didn't even know if he was going to play football or not. They were just wasn't sure if he even cared about it. I mean, that just blows my mind. Right. And it's just one of those stories that, you just got to see. So ESPN did not a 30 for 30, but a SEC featured on it. It's pretty neat to see. Look that up. It's pretty neat. But that's all I've got, man. You got anything?
I think I wrote down some little blurbs here and there that I was going to throw out there, and if you want to keep it in for the final cut, you can. But I think there's 2 huge programs that better have big years, or it's going to get ugly. I think Florida State and Willie Taggart at least needs to go 8-4, 9-3, but another 6-6, 7-5 year. Tallahassee and that crazy board of theirs is not going to like that. And I guess I could have made this my bold prediction, and it might not even be that bold. I think USC will get rid of Helton, and I think Urban Meyer will be stepping in as the Men of Troy coach next year.
Yep, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. I think I feel like it's going to happen. We've kind of seen this come out of Urban before. I don't want to ever say somebody's faking health problems.
You don't think he would lie, do you?
He is a sketchy person, and just somebody just real slimy.
But that was set up 2020. Alabama opens up against USC. Now, the Florida State game 2 years ago was dubbed the biggest opener ever. But if Urban Meyer comes back to USC, and I don't even want to get started talking about 2020 because we're just doing a preview of 2019. But the Crimson Tide could have a rough 2020.
2020? What are we talking about? Barbara Walters? I mean, come on, let's focus on 2019. But I was messing with you, but hey, that's everything we've got. Once again, thank you, Cody, for doing these videos with me. The square chair is here. I love it.
Let's go.
And, let's go. It's football season, man. Let's get it going. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and let's get it. See you later.